Hey guys, my name is Devin, this is Spiritual Guitar, and today we're playing Mad World by Jules. Can I help you? This is the level 1, it's the most simple and least complicated, and it just uses two chord shapes. We have our A minor chord shape going into a D major chord shape that is going to utilize only the 5th string, the 4th string, and the 3rd string. So your pinky for this D major chord is going to be on the 5th fret, 5th string. Your ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret, 4th string, on the F sharp note, and your index finger is on the A note, which is on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. And we're going back and forth from the A minor chord to this D major variation. So just practice going back and forth just a few times, make sure you have that. It's a bit of a jump, we don't have any anchor points to hold on to, so it's a little tricky. And the melody is going to just utilize the notes in the chords. I'll play that slow. So the melody we're playing is we're using this A minor chord shape, and the only thing we're going to do is lift our index finger up to expose the open B string. And when we transition from this A minor chord shape, I'm playing an open D string with an open G string, and you can either hammer on your ring finger onto this 4th fret, 4th string, F sharp, or you can pluck it. What I like to focus on here is to keep my ring finger arched so that I can still sustain and ring out this open G string when I hit this note. It's tricky. And when I fall into this chord, I'm not hitting all of my 3 fingers at once. I'm going my ring finger, followed by my pinky, then my index finger. One more time. Now that second version, the first part is the same, just the basic A minor shape. And here we're going to place our finger down on the C note. That's our index finger on the 1st fret, 2nd string. And we're holding our first finger down and sliding it up to the 3rd fret. And then our 3rd finger is going to be on the 5th fret, 5th string, open G string, middle finger on 4th fret, 4th string. It's actually a very pretty D chord with some open strings. It has the 6th and the 9 in there. So version 2, or level 2 of this, we're going to utilize the same chords, but we're going to add a few additional notes. So it's going to sound like this. Very similar, same melody here. We're just going to add this pinky here on the C for a bit more harmony. So we're gonna strum our full A minor chord, open E, we'll break it down even slower. So our melody note, we're plucking our P, our thumb, and index at the same time on the 5th string and 2nd string. And we're gonna just alternate the bass note with our thumb. It's basically what we're doing for both of these. We're alternating our thumb between the 5th string and the 4th string as we're playing through our melody. So we're keeping our melody and we're just changing the harmony a little bit here. And then I like to just add some additional fingers to strum everything out. And our level 3 is going to use a different version of the same chords. So we're going to play our A minor chord like this. Now that's our middle finger on the 5th fret on the 3rd string, that's on our C note. And our pinky is going to be on the 7th fret on the 4th string, which is going to be our G. Our A. Open B string, open E string. And we're going to strum the 5th string and the 4th string with our thumb at the same time that we pluck up on the 3rd G string with our index finger, so like this. So we're strumming A finger on the open E, M finger on the open B, index finger on the G string, and then we're going to pluck the 4th string. We're going to lift our 2nd finger up, place our index finger down on the G string, place our 3rd finger down on the 5th fret 4th string, slide that down to the 4th fret, and now we're going to place our fingers back into that D major chord variation. So the second part of this, we're going to start the same way. Index finger on the 4th fret, followed by our 2nd finger on the same 3rd G string on the 5th fret. Our pinky's going down on the same string on the 7th fret. And now our D major chord variation here, we're going to place our 2nd finger on the 5th string, 5th fret, 1st finger on the 4th string, 4th fret, and your pinky is going to be on the 7th fret on the 3rd string. One more time, the whole thing. So let's just play through all levels, level 1 through level 3. Let's head over to the chords, our left hand chord shapes. In our verse, we're going to start with an A minor chord. Now that's going to be an open A string, the 5th string, your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret on the D string, playing an E note, your 3rd finger tucked below, or in this case above because it's a higher string. So above your 2nd finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, which is an A note. And your 1st finger is going to be on the C note, which is the 1st fret, B string. We're going to play the open A string and the open E string. We'll move on to the 2nd chord, which is a C chord. Our 3rd finger is on the 5th string, 3rd fret, which is our C note. 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, 4th string, which is E. Open G string. Our index finger is on the 1st fret, 2nd string. And then we have an open E string. We move into a G chord. However, we're going to leave out the highest E string, and we're going to place our pinky down on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, which is our note, our D note. And we want to emphasize this D here. And we also are not going to place our 2nd finger down as we normally would when we're playing a G major chord. We're going to leave that open, and we're actually going to mute that 5th string by slanting our middle finger just ever so slightly, so it's just glazing this 5th string so that when I pluck it, it's muted. You can mute it just in case you do accidentally pluck it. However, when I strum, I'm not playing that string. I have my thumb on the low E string, and then I have my index finger on the 4th string, my middle finger on the 3rd string, and my ring finger on the 2nd string. And then we move over to a D major chord variation that has an F sharp on the bass. When you're moving these chords, keep your pinky down because that note stays the same in both chords. We're going to use this as an anchor point, which we'll cover later. And we're going to move into our D major chord. So from our G chord, lift up your ring finger, place your ring finger down on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, that's your A note, and then take your middle finger and place it down on the 2nd fret, lowest 6th string, that's your F sharp. Now we're going to do the same thing here with our middle finger. We're going to slant it down just slightly so it mutes this 5th string. We're not going to play this just yet, but however, you can just keep your right hand fingers on the same strings that we had for G. So you won't even play it, you don't have to worry about it. So we're going from an A minor to a C, to a G, to a D with an F sharp on the bass. Now we go into the chorus, we're playing our A minor chord, into a D major chord, A minor chord, D major chord. You can play the D major chord 2 different ways. In this case, I'm barring the first 3 strings with my 1st finger on the 2nd fret. And then I place my middle finger on this 3rd fret, 2nd string, which is our D note. And I'm plucking the open 4th string, the D string. You can also, if it's more comfortable for you, you can use 3 fingers here. So your 1st finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, that's your A note. Your 3rd finger on this D note, which is on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then you tuck your middle finger above, or it looks like below from my perspective here, your index finger on this E string, the highest string, that's on the 2nd fret, it's going to be your F sharp. So either way, you can bar, and we're just in the chorus going back and forth between A minor, D major, A minor, D major. Okay, let's introduce some right hand finger picking patterns. So our level 1 picking pattern is just a basic beginner style pattern. It's going to utilize all 4 of our fingers. However, it's going to be very simple, a bit of a country or folk sound. So I'm just plucking the bass note with my thumb, with my P here, and then I have my 3 fingers, my I, my M, and my A, my index, my middle finger, and my ring finger, on the 4th string, 3rd string, and the 2nd string. So just like that, and I'm just simply alternating between my thumb and my IMA at the same time. Switch over to the C, to the G. Here I've moved my thumb down to the 6th string because that's now the lowest note in the chord. To the D major with the F sharp on the bass. Now, if you want to do a little variation, you can move your I, M, and A from the 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string up to the 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string. Your thumb is going to stay on the same bass notes. You can do the same for C. However, for G, you have to move back down because we want to emphasize this D note here. And this high open E does not match the chord for this song. So, back to the D major. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. And we can do the same thing for the chorus. So A minor shape to D major, and I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad, the dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. We're just alternating from our P, our thumb, on the 5th string. And you can put your IMA on either the 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, or the 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string. You can even alternate with your P between the D string and the A string here. So A string, D string, A string, D string, D string, A string, D string, A string. So when you switch over to your D major chord, you're actually going to start your thumb on the 4th string, which is the D string, because we're emphasizing the D chord. It's got a bit of a melancholy feel to it. To me, it's gritty. Alright, so that's our level 1, the more beginner, the more simple. However, if you're an advanced player, an intermediate player, don't think about this as a beginner technique that you're not going to use. It's very important to always have these very simple levels in your back pocket, because if you're just playing intricate, complicated, advanced things the entire time, then the listener's threshold for what's exciting has been raised, and this just becomes noise at a certain point. You want to be very dynamic with your playing. If you sprinkle in these more advanced parts on top of these more simple, basic phrases, it's going to accentuate and bring out these more complicated phrases for you. It's going to be more exciting for the listener and more dynamic as you do slower, more simple, and then you ramp up to more intricate. So for example, like if I'm playing the chords, you know, it just is a better way. You don't want to be full gas, you know, foot on all the way on the gas pedal the entire time. You want to let your foot off the gas, let everybody take a breath, and relax. So let's move on to our level 2 right hand. This is going to incorporate the melody with the harmony. I'm not going to break these down as much. Again, the tabs are available linked below on my Patreon. These are available for free. It's only the more advanced version that I've written that I'm going to charge $5 for, but everything else, head over to my Patreon. You can download it for free. So this melody that we're going to bake in, let's start with the verse. I'll just play through it so you can see how it sounds. So it sounds a little more complicated than it is. It's fairly simple with the right hand. We're using our M and our I, mostly our M in this case, to play the melody, and the melody is generally the same. You don't have to change much in the chords. So we're just going to arpeggiate this, starting with the bass note. Now, when you're shifting from the A minor chord to the C chord, I actually lift up my third finger so that I have this open G string. And then I swing my third finger. I don't move any other finger because these are our anchor points, meaning they're the same notes in these two chords. Our second finger and our first finger stay the same whether you're playing A minor or C. There's no difference. So all that we're going to do here when we're transitioning chords, lift up our ring finger a little early to hit that open G string, and then we're going to place it down on the 3rd fret, 5th string on our C. And the melody for the C chord is just going to be the open E string. Right? It's helpful to just play the melody on its own. Whoop. So with the C, we're playing, and we're just going to use our thumb you're just kind of running up these strings here as the harmony. Over to our G, same thing. For that last note, we're going to lift up our pinky on the D note, and we're going to head over to our open B. So D, D, open B, pinky's up. Same thing, our D is the main melody on our D major chord with the F sharp in the bass. And then we just lift up our pinky, put our first finger down on the 2nd string, 1st fret, pull that off. If you can also pluck it. I like to pull off. And then we're gonna just finish this phrase by plucking this A note, which is where your 3rd finger is on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. So all together. Now, to get into the chorus, you're just going to vary this D major melody ever so slightly. Instead of going from your D to the C, pulling off, you're going to go from D to C, play your C again, hammer onto your D, and then play the open E string. That's what we're going for. You can also slide. Sometimes I do that for effect, but if you slide, you got to get back into place for your A minor chord. If you just do the hammer on, you're already in place for your A minor chord, right? I'm all about maximum efficiency through minimal movement. This thing is hard enough to play. We don't want to add any extra movement or wiggle room here. We want to keep everything tight and move as little as possible. So for me, I generally do this pull or this hammer on because I already have my index finger on this first fret on the C note, which is going to be a part of my A minor chord. This is going to be the same, we're calling it level 2, where we're incorporating the melody over the harmony. So we're going to start with the A minor 9, which means we're actually lifting up our first finger and we're going to play this open B string. We're just arpeggiating the chord. And then we're going to place our first finger down. That's the melody. And I'm just playing that melody and I'm just alternating my thumb along either the 5th string, 4th string, or 3rd string. I do this kind of by taste. However, again, in the tabs, I have it outlined exactly which notes I'm playing here. Although again, I kind of vary this depending on how I'm feeling or what the vibe of the space is. So one more time. Now there, all I'm doing is I'm arpeggiating the chord. You can strum it with your thumb. Do a hammer-on pull-off here, but all I'm doing is I'm taking my 3rd finger and I'm going. I'm just placing it down on this E string, the 1st string on the 3rd fret. And then I'm ending it on this D, which is on the 3rd fret, 2nd string with your 2nd finger. Now on the last version, or the last run through, so the 4th time you're going to play this, I actually like to use my thumb on a bass note with every note. So I'm just going, my thumb is just running as I play. It's actually just a good exercise to kind of isolate and do alone. And that ending there, so I'm playing my standard D chord. I'm only playing these 3 strings, the D string, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. And then I place my pinky down on this C note, which is on the 5th fret, 3rd string. And then I'm looking to get to my open E, so I keep my 1st finger down on this 2nd fret, 3rd string A note. Which actually you don't even have to do because I'm blocking this with my pinky. But it's just better form for me. I like to keep that down. Just lift up your bar so that you can play that open E string. And I'm just running C on the G string, D, your 2nd finger, 3rd fret on the B string, and then lift up your index finger, that bar, so you can hit the open E. level 3. So this one is a bit more folky, a bit more country to me. I'm using a lot more hammer-ons and pull-offs with my left hand, and it's actually a little more simple with your right hand. But we're varying up the melody. We're not playing every note of the melody, and introducing these hammer-ons and pull-offs gives it a bit of a different vibe and a different feel. So we're going to use it in our modular arrangement. So we simply go, I like to start off this phrase with a hammer-on. Just that bold, ooh, this is a little different, you know? It just is like, oh, the listener's going to hear that, like, oh, this one's going to be a little different, exciting. So we're going to hammer on with our third finger on this A note, which is 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then pluck that bass, the A string, 5th string, open. And I like to give it a little bit of a swing. So each chord is going to typically have just one hammer-on, and it's going to be the 2nd note after that 1st bass string. So with our A chord, after we hammer on, we do. With our C chord, we're just hammering on our 2nd finger on that 2nd fret, 4th string. With our G chord, we're going to just move our 2nd finger down 1 string to the 5th string, 2nd fret. You want to make sure that you're arching your 3rd finger here a lot so that we're not blocking this. We don't want to hear. We want to hear. When we get to the D major chord with the F sharp on the bass, we're going to just simulate that hammer-on by quickly strumming with your thumb the 5th string to the 4th string. It's open 5th string, open 4th string. So. And then with the chorus here, I'll just play the same thing. So I only have a level 1 and a level 2 for the chorus. That's level 1, level 2, and that should be fine. Otherwise, you can just strum it. We'll call that level 3. And level 4, I call it the PMI tremolo, and I call this my Frank's Red Hot because I put this shit on everything and it always sounds good. It's gonna sound something like this. So all I'm doing there is playing P, my thumb, followed by M, my middle finger, and I. and I'm just alternating between the bass note and then I'm playing twice on this fourth string. So down to the 6th fret for my G. Right? And then I'm just so I'm alternating, or I'm just striking M, then I. My M is on the 2nd B string. My I is on the 3rd string, the G string. And right now I'm playing the G chord. You can vary this by bringing your M and I up to the 1st string, your E string, and the 2nd string, your B string. So your M is on the E string, and your I is on the 2nd string. However, when you move to the G and the D major chords, you have to bring your M and I back down to the B string and the G string because this open E string is not part of the chords in this song. And that's really it. So let's go into some practice tips. Let's start with the PMI, because it's a tricky one and it's really fun. I want everybody to get this down. Start off super painfully slow. This is spiritual guitar. Your daily practice is now going to be how slowly can you play without getting frustrated and keep a nice even level. Your dynamics, you want to be the same loudness. You don't want to be softer or louder on different notes. And you want even spacing between each note. Now I do this by using a metronome and starting off, crank it down as slow as you can handle without boring yourself to death. So I'm not moving my right hand, I'm only moving my fingers. Minimal movement is maximum efficiency. The spacing between the notes is even, and I'm playing them all loudly at this point. I'm not playing some quietly and some loud. You want to establish a foundational bass line where you can hit the same level with each note, and then you start to vary the dynamics. So we'll start loud. And then we'll start to, I call these M and I the runners, because they're always running underneath my P as my P is playing the bass notes. And the runners, you want them to eventually be more quiet and more soft in the background. Start off practicing them loud, even spaced, but eventually you want them to just kind of be tickling your ear in the back. You don't even want to realize they're there. They're just this subtle noise in the background. Now, one way to work on your dynamics, after you're playing everything at the same volume, now we're going to exaggerate. We're going to play our thumb over to like too loud, and we're going to play our M and I too quiet. Just getting used to separating and distinguishing the thumb muscle from the M and I muscles. We're not used to doing this. I think usually we're using all 5 of our finger muscles at the same time. We need to start really isolating and identifying how to strengthen this thumb muscle while playing more quietly with your M and I, and vice versa. We're going to have full independent control of every finger, and the way you do this is first by practicing them all at even spacing at the same loudness level, and then you start to exaggerate the difference between them. Some are too quiet, some are too loud. And then you can do it the opposite. I'm even struggling it. It's tricky. So when we're moving between chords, so let's take our first two chords, A minor to our C chord. We're going to identify anchor points, and those are fingers and notes that stay the same in each chord. So we already kind of covered this, but in the A minor chord and the C chord, the only finger that's actually moving is my third finger is going from the 2nd fret 3rd string to the 3rd fret 5th string. My anchor points are M and I, M on the 2nd fret 4th string, I on the 1st fret 2nd string. Those stay the same. You don't want to lift your fingers all the way up. We already have our fingers in position. We have our technique. If you lift everything up and then try to move, now you've found the chord, but you have to refine your technique and your position. It's just a mess. It's so much easier. Minimal movement. As opposed to, okay, now I'm here. I've kind of practiced these a lot, so it's hard for me to like flounder around and pretend like I don't know where they are. But I remember it being very difficult. We've all been through this. I've put in an embarrassing amount of hours so that I can just kind of get my fingers here. But even so, I need help, and I want to make sure that I'm not making this any more difficult for myself than it needs to be. I remember being super frustrated when I was starting out, and I didn't even have social media or any of these pages. I wasn't watching everybody all day, just playing better than I was, so I can't imagine what it feels like to be a beginner today. Don't make it any more difficult for yourself. Keep your fingers down. Now, when we're moving from our C to our G, we don't have an anchor point. None of these notes, well, we do have some notes that are going to be the same, like our open G string, but that's not an anchor point because we're not using a finger. So in this case, our thumb is our anchor point. So we're going to keep our thumb down on the neck. It should be in the middle of the neck, and ideally, you want it to be lined up with where your middle finger is landing on the fretboard. So these are kind of pinching together, but they're sandwiching the neck in between them. So we're going to actually lift our fingers up. We're not going to lift them up completely, just a little bit, just raise them from the fretboard and then get our fingers into place for the G chord. So again, just minimal movement right to our G. Now when we move from our G to our D major chord with the F sharp in the bass, we do have an anchor point, and that's our pinky. This is a great anchor point because for me, the pinky is the most difficult finger to get in the right place. It's my sloppiest finger. I have the least amount of control, just the least amount of muscle here. So I'm going to keep it down, and I'm just going to shift the rest of my fingers. Keep it down, and shift. And when we're moving from our D major chord to our A minor chord, we have an anchor point here with our third finger. This stays the same. You want to when you're practicing things, you want to break them into the smallest digestible chunks that you can. That means moving from one chord to the next, just 2 chords, that could be a 5-minute practice session. Anything from 3 to 5 minutes. You're going to sit there and just go back and forth. And you're going to watch yourself and critique any extra movement that you have. If you're going like this, that my fingers are too high. I want my fingers just a centimeter off the fretboard when I'm moving. You're going to want to lift your fingers up, keep them down. It feels more challenging in the beginning, but eventually your muscles get used to it. This becomes second nature, and you can maneuver from chord to chord way faster than you ever could. Same thing when we're going with our A minor to a C. Just for 3 minutes. Put a metronome on, really slowly to keep yourself in time. Modular arrangements, like I said, I like to have different versions of an introduction, of a verse, of a chorus, so that, let's say I start off very slow, I can kind of tease the listener about the song. I'll start off generally with the PMI, where I'm just outlining the structure, like the chords. This song in particular, well, most songs, they share chord progressions with many other songs. So at this point, the listener, this is familiar, but they're not sure if it's Mad World or not. I have an arrangement I've written where a cello is playing over this. A nice melody. If you're playing with other musicians, this is a great way to do it. In this case, I'll go right in. I want to go right in this case because I don't want to announce that intro. Dead giveaway. As soon as the audience hears that, they know it's Mad World and they're ready. If I start with the PMI, and then I go into just the verse with the melody. Sounds very familiar. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. Whatever you want to do. Or you can play full instrumental. And alternate between an instrumental and just a vocal. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. So that's how you'll work on modular arrangements. Just kind of mix and match. Make sure that you're very comfortable and familiar with all the different versions so that you can plug and play in real time on the spot as you're deciding what the space calls for. Now I have a more advanced version that I've written that kind of takes us off on a bit of a tangent with some different notes and different harmonies. And I'm going to just play through it. We're not going to do an in-depth lesson, but the tabs are available for purchase on my Patreon linked below. So I'll take us out with this advanced version. If it sounds good to you, head over to my Patreon, pick up the tabs. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. DM me, comment, reach out to me via Patreon or my email. I love to do these videos. I love teaching guitar. So if you're struggling with anything, you have any questions, let me know and I'll do what I can to help you. Otherwise, like and subscribe for more videos. We have more content coming out very soon, and I'll be sure to upload onto my Patreon as well. This is Spiritual Guitar. My name is Devin. Thank you for watching.